promising people that they're gonna build up jobs and everything, especially like in the 80s. There's a big thing about moving to Moreno Valley. We're gonna have all these big corporations come in. It never happened. People actually moved out there, end up losing everything because the big corporations never came. And then a lot of investors came back here and started buying property for so cheap prices, and now the property value is sky high. You can't even afford to live in Compton and Washington without spending $300,000 for a home that my mother then paid $9,000 for.
I think the prevailing view on Wall Street is anyone stupid enough to buy drugs deserves to die. And if you can make money from them while they're doing it, that's great. And if that's imposing a crime wave on a community away from Wall Street, that's okay. There's no drug crime on Wall Street.
I don't like niggers. They pay cash, right? They pay cash.
One of the important facets of the discussion should be what I call conspiracy theories. There are lots of folks out there, and there are books written on this by people who are in a position to know. Former DEA agents, former CIA operatives, things like that. And they tell stories about huge amounts of money, large-scale corruption in the big parts of government, etc. And are these stories true? And the answer is, of course, I don't know. I don't have access to any particular information more than anyone else does. However, ask yourself this question. If you're going to have $1 million in cash, how much corruption can you buy at any level for that $1 million? And the answer has to be quite a bit.
On December 10th, 2004, investigative journalist Gary Webb was found shot in his apartment.
No, you lying.
No.
When?
Saturday.
Oh, man.
The internet was set ablaze with conspiracies of a CIA assassination plot, but overwhelming evidence of a suicide soon put the theories to rest.
Well, he used to tell me that he would come home at night and there'd be guys, you know, climbing up the pole late at night, 12 and 1 o'clock, and you know, at nighttime, and people following him around everywhere he goes. He has cars telling him, and his phone was tapped, and he was just saying that they were kind of like giving him the blues. You know, a lot of things were going on that he didn't really like, and he said it was the government too.
By the way, the head of the DEA, his name is Rob Bonner, is a friend of mine throughout the first George Bush administration, documented that yes, the CIA was involved with importation of a fair amount of cocaine with regard to the Iran-Contra, etc. But it just has to happen because of the money.
Let me understand what you're saying. A ton of cocaine was smuggled into the United States of America.
Well,
in cooperation with the CIA?
That's exactly what appears to have happened.
When I was a clandestine case officer, I thought I was doing God's work, the nation's work, by recruiting traitors in varied countries around the world. And what I didn't realize was that I was literally there for show. I was just going through the motions because the traitors weren't producing really useful information. We were ignoring all of the openly available information that would have produced much richer results. Let's jump over to General Manuel Noriega in Panama. General Noriega was told by Bill Casey, then director of the Central Intelligence Agency, that he could have a free run with drugs into America, provided that he allowed us to support the Contras from Panama. That was a straight-up deal.
Now, I don't understand why the government didn't use Freeway Rick the way they used him. Set him up to go buy this from the big man and bust the big man. They know he ain't the big man. Somebody's bringing it to him.
Yeah, nobody's
So
the
why
big
they
man.
didn't reverse
They always take you almost
to make it seem like he's the man.
They never
but
found
somebody's
the man.
just bringing it to him.
Who is the real drug lord?
What do you say to conspiracy theorists? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the book called Dark Alliance, written about the CIA bringing in cocaine into South Central LA, the whole Ricky Ross story.
Well, you know, I've been working with the CIA for years. I take great pride in what they do. They're very disciplined people of great courage. There aren't many of them. It's a very small agency. They're out there in the global context trying to protect the American people. So I think they deserve to be treated with respect. But the notion that they're smuggling drugs into America is just absurd.
I think Ricky Ross simply didn't invest enough money in bribing local authorities. Had he invested in a protection insurance policy at the state and local level through legal fronts, I mean, there are all kinds of lawyers that are willing to sell their souls and happy to take their money and then channel it into bribes. So basically, I think Ricky Ross didn't realize that he could become a pawn in the war on drugs.
Are you aware of whether or not narcotics proceeds at some time may or may not have supported Contra efforts?
Yes, sir. Narcotics proceeds were used to shore up the Contra effort.
Okay. Did you personally play a role in some of the transfer of that money?
Yes, I did.
6 months after CIA Director John Deutsch came to Locke High School, the residents of Watts were hardly surprised that the CIA found itself innocent of all drug dealing charges. Today, Ricky Ross remains in prison as the sole perpetrator of America's biggest drug war scandal.
And drugs were used, together with Saudi Arabian contributions, also off the books. Drugs were used by the CIA to carry out a covert action that had been forbidden by Congress.
When Bush Sr. lost the election to Bill Clinton, everyone felt as if a new day were born in America. Now the peaceful liberals would rule, and the tired, corrupt Iran-Contra Reagan crew would be gone for good.
Problems today with President Clinton's book signing tour through the Southland. He appeared at SO1 Books in Baldwin Village.
I'm all the way from Moreno Valley just to see President Clinton. I love him and I love what he stands for.
But in actuality, he had this evil, crazy, maniacal person that headed up the war on drugs. Now that's the good guy getting the bad guy to do the bad work.
Yeah,
Scapegoat.
It's scapegoat.
That's
That's
all
what
it
we
is.
was talking about earlier. The scapegoat. Like, we're the scapegoats. They all gotta have an scapegoat.
The media and the drug war have a long symbiotic relationship. During the last several years, Freeway Ricky Ross's legend continued to grow. A platinum-selling rapper using the name Ricky Ross tells stories that glorify Rick's life as a drug dealer. Ricky even had his own hour-long BET special, once again proving how a war-weary country has become immune to complete government corruption. However, in late 2005, Ricky did catch a break and got his sentence reduced down to a few years.
Ricky Ross is really a good guy who took advantage of an opportunity. He was an entrepreneur, but he's at the bottom of the food chain, so he went to jail. All the guys that violated the law, that ignored congressional sanctions on Iran-Contra, they're all in power. And George Bush, a guy who never succeeded at anything and is certainly not succeeding at this presidency, a guy who stole 2 elections, who has committed at least 10 different impeachable offenses, he's president of the United States.